Welcome back to the Planet Paintball podcast, brought to you by 1023 Sportswear. That's TEN, the numbers 23sportswear.com for all your custom jersey apparel. And Southwest Paintball in Bayfield, Colorado. Go out and say hi to John and the boys. Tonight I got Wyldside Distortion with me, Nate and Mike from the team. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Well, let's do this. Just tell me how you came to be on Distortion. Nate, you want to go first?
Sure. So I'm the owner and co-coach of the team. Started in paintball in the late 90s, played pretty competitively through about 05, and then had a kid and took a break. I came back in 15 into 16 and playing and coaching and stuff ever since. And I believe Micah was 22, right? I think we started this team and picked up the Distortion name with some long-standing ties with the name. I know we didn't start it, but we're grateful for Sarge and Charlie and Nick and all the rest of the people that have been a part of this over the years. And we wanted to pick up where they left off, and then we've been kind of hitting the ground ever since.
And Mike?
Yeah, my name's Mike. So like Nate said, it started in, I think it was 2022 when the Outlaws got sold. I was playing on the Outlaws with a couple of the old Distortion guys. I think it was with Stapula. And that's how the name came. And then we played Distortion semi-pro after the Outlaws got sold. And then I went to GG Factory with Dustin, hoping that would be a better opportunity in 23, Nate?
Yeah, that was most of us on the same roster went there for that year.
Yeah, and it ended up not working out at all. I quit 3 events in, I think, and I went to Blast Camp, semi-pro, and then I played 2024 at Blast Camp in the pro division. Virgil then sold the spot, kind of like Jeremy Solomon did. So it's the second time that's happened to me. I'm like the team killer, if I get on your pro team, it's getting sold. And then Nate was nice enough to have me back on Distortion for the season.
Nice.
Always welcoming with open arms. Nothing but love for Mike.
So where did the Wyldside tag on come from? Is that an actual city, or is it kind of like Rack City Clutch back in the day?
No, so we're partnered with Wyldside Paintball, which is based out of Rockford, Illinois, in the west suburbs. So, and we partnered, so Bob, the owner, and some people that are associated there, we've been long-standing friends with them. They've always been big supporters of us. Through the last year's off season, and the end of last year, we were talking to him about merging up and kind of helping him grow his field and brand, and him helping us as well. So it's been a really fruitful and great relationship that's kind of been growing throughout the year. So it was a little unexpected when we started it. We kind of didn't know what we were getting into, I think all parties, but throughout the year, it's been really beneficial. I think everybody's really seeing the fruits of that and excited for the future with that as well. So yeah, we're largely the Wyldside Paintball, like I said, based out of Rockford. And they've been around for quite a few years. I believe the owner, Bob, would be better to speak on the story, but I believe there was a partnership at one point, and then there was a separation, and then he took back over a few years ago and is kind of rebranding and rebuilding that back up to what it was years and years ago. But Mike, you might know a little bit about that as well. Super happy to be associated with them.
Yeah, Crazy Bob's a great dude. Mostly known as Crazy Bob.
He is, yeah. For never met him for the obvious reasons. He's a little goofy, but it's nothing but a great heart and great persons.
Awesome. Yeah, anytime you get a nickname like that, there's a story or two behind it, I'm sure. So let's kind of recap the season going into World Cup. How are you guys feeling?
Mike, that's all you.
Yeah, I'd say going into World Cup is the best I've been feeling since the start of the season. Last event, we really came together, and it was the best the team culture has been all season. So I'm excited to see what happens at World Cup with how we've come together and kind of overcome some, trial and error and stuff. Pretty stoked for World Cup.
Yeah, the culture's at an all-time high. The guys are having a lot of fun. We're really grateful and enjoying what we're doing. Obviously, we wish we were in a little bit better, closer standings or better position, and we're not unhappy, but we'd rather be at first and not sitting where we're at. But man, you can't take it out of the guys right now. We're firing right now.
And did you guys made the Champions Circle, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What contributed to it sounds like there was a turnabout in team culture, if you will. You guys want to speak on that a little bit? Like what facility?
Yeah, from Mike might have a different opinion, and I'd be happy to hear that. From a little bit of the outside, I'm not a player, so I get sometimes a little bit different point of view than others. We kind of struggled the beginning of the year. Like our on-field play maybe was okay, maybe didn't show up, but like our culture, we struggled. In the off season with Blast Camp being sold, we took on a big chunk of that team, that roster, 5 or 6 of them. And there we struggle, like even though we had been friends and been boys with these guys for years, played with them and against them in multiple facets, it was really just not connecting. It was still kind of clicky, like not real connecting together as joining. And it wasn't bad by any means, but it just also wasn't as good as it could be. And a little bit of trial and tribulation, some events not going our way, some things not going our way, like that forced kind of some like come to Jesus discussions and meetings internally. At one point, we had a bunch of the guys stepped away. They were going to do their own thing in that long break, ended up coming back. And on the heels of coming back and kind of growing together, it was just approach. I think everybody's got a little bit different mindset and approaching it a little bit differently. We started the year maybe a little bit bigger egos, a little more unintentionally kind of self-centered. And now where I think we have those egos are kind of squashed a little bit and everybody's really focused on what's best for the team. And you can feel the vibe. It's hard to articulate exactly to put that into like quantifiable words, but the vibe change at practices and stuff the last couple months and going into Texas and then obviously coming into World Cup, it's significantly different. Same roster, or for the most part, a couple of minor changes due to life stuff, but just a different mentality.
Yeah. I mean, to add on what he said, when we merged 2 teams together, and obviously Blast Camp kids played pro we all played pro last year. I have some pro experience. And then you go to a younger team like Distortion, and not everybody's experienced, but they might be just as good. So it's just because they haven't been playing at the high level and, produced at the pro level, it doesn't mean that they can't. And I feel like it was a lot of trust in the beginning of the season that we just wasn't there. And it turned out into like individual play then and less team play. So I think we could have done better in the beginning of the season with that, but it's hard coming together with 2 teams like that. I think you took 7 of us, counting me.
We might have,
maybe
yeah.
6. I mean, we had a huge roster at the beginning.
Big roster, yeah. We've had 2 different times this year where we've had like 14 to 16 players, and we've had either trim back or sick guys or something like that. That's been an adventure.
Yeah. So I think we all finally trust each other. We got the right group of guys out of the big roster that we had. And just everyone's gelling now and trusting each other, which is huge. You can't play paintball together if you don't trust each other. So, but we're showing up early and on time now. We're drilling before and after. I mean, we're the first team there, last team to leave now. So a lot's changed. It used to be hour late and everyone's got stuff to do, so we're leaving early. It's been big improvement since between, and I missed event too, so I can't really. I had a kid, 6 months old, so I took like 2 months off this season. So I did miss some of the separation.
Well, yeah, anytime you take 2 teams and smash them together, there's an adjustment period, right? Like it's one of those things. It doesn't matter if you're best buddies and practice against each other all the time. Like there's always going to be a period. But it sounds like you guys had the fights you needed to have and got it together, though. So
yeah, and from the coaching standpoint too, it's tough. I mean, we've got a deep roster, right? You got 10, 11, 12 guys all year, and every one of them deserves a start. And on just about any other team out there, they would start. And so it's also finding the right mesh of like who plays best in what positions behind what other players or next to what other players and timing and stuff. And we're still working that out because just being honest, it's tough when you turn around and every one of those guys is a straight up rock star, a killer, ready to go, and you got to pick, the best 5 to go out there and play. But we're still, we're all growing. Every event, every practice, we're all getting a little bit better than we were the last time and learning new things from the pit staff, pod runners, coaches, all the way to the players on the field.
Yeah. Well, and like that stuff changes like all the time too. Like according to layout, right? Like 2 guys might be getting it done on the D side on layout A, but layout B, maybe it's one of those guys and someone else or if you're doing an island play or something, that's a different guy, right? Than the two that are over there sometimes. So
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely layout dependent.
where are you guys? I mean, it's been a rocky season, but even with that, you're in the top 4 in the champion circle. So you got to be feeling good about that. That even though it was rocky until the last event, that's where you guys have landed.
Yeah, I mean I'm extremely happy with this year. Even if we end up not winning a pro spot or whatever, I hope that we as a team can stay together because this is probably one of the favorite groups of guys I've played with in a long time.
Yeah, I would agree. It's probably one of the best rosters I've ever been a part of. And, we've been, to be fair, like we've been fairly consistent. We've placed the lowest we've placed all year is 5th. So it's
Yeah.
been, we've been there, pretty consistent all year. We just haven't been as consistent as some others. Like BR's been, Jungle Cat's been doing really well, and they play great. So we're still chasing them, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you got what, 3rd, 5th, 4th. It sounds about right, right? So, I mean, the goal's to win. I take it for World Cup. If you guys win, do you get the pro spot? Have you even started calculating all that yet, or haven't even thought about just focusing on winning?
Currently just focusing on winning World Cup and having fun, and whatever happens happens.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. It requires other factors. We're neck and neck with Collision. That one's not as, we beat them, we'll place higher than them. BR, we could win the event, and if they took second or something, they would still win the pro spot. So there's some math involved there based on how they do, how others do. Obviously we know we're in the top 8 coming into Cup, like just being part of the Champions Cup, and so are they. So we'll just kind of let the paintball gods handle it. We're going to do our best and have fun while we're doing it and go from there.
So, Nate, what made you want to decide to own a paintball team? I mean, it's different. Back in the day, like the owner was the captain and he played a lot, right? So what made you decide, hey, I want to captain this and not play?
I think mostly I have some mental health issues of some type, undiagnosed, like the drama. I don't know. No. So I played right up in every NXL event right up through COVID and even a couple after that. And what I noticed being friends and just being in the industry and friends with a lot of pros and top levels, and it's still that way in the Chicago market. There wasn't a lot of teams when Aftershock subsided a couple years ago. There was really no local pro teams. And what you had is a lot of pro players that were traveling the country, or semi-pro players, like high-level players traveling the country and jumping into other rosters. And it didn't matter what team they were a part of, how great that organization was. You could just, in talking to them on off weekends and like at the airports and stuff, you could just feel the drain to have to travel a lot for that and being away from their families or their life and careers. And it just took some fun out of it. And even some of them were winning at high levels and still are, and they love the team and organization, but like, hey, it's on the West Coast or it's on the East Coast or South or something, and they're grabbing red eyes and traveling, 20 weeks a year, and it sucks, to be honest. So kind of looking around and reading the room and seeing that, I was like, well, and there's a bunch of like kind of onesie twosies, like these guys are really good, but they're playing down in D3 because they just don't want to travel anymore. It seemed like the opportunity was there to throw the hat in the ring and kind of pick up some of those players. And actually, Mike and I were talking about it for a couple of years going before the TMG thing happened. Obviously at that time, Blast Camp was a powerhouse team, and in semi-pro they were top of the pack for a couple of years, winning a bunch of events and stuff. Just never won the pro spot at that time. And but their roster was pretty consistent. It was locked, so it was hard for guys to join that organization at that level. And then when Jeremy sold the TMG spot, and like a handful of those guys were close friends, and we kind of all got together and said this kind of makes sense, and we could keep a lot of that team together given the way their rankings were, and their point system. The rankings between semi-pro and pro, the points are the same. It's just a classification. We were able to keep them together, and that kind of was like, well, now we got a core. And now we got a good group of guys that have played together. They like each other. We all get along well. And we added a few other guys back in 22 to help complement that and kind of hit the ground running from there.
Okay, nice. So just trying to give the local guys other opportunity then, if you will, or other options.
Yeah, it's trying to make Chicago, like I grew up in the, late 90s, early 2000s of paintball when during like the 7 and 10 man era, playing at Badlands. And I mean, most, you're probably too young for this, but like the CPSAs and the stuff and Chicago was a powerhouse region at the time, right? We had the coastal regions for sure, but Chicago represented at all the national events. And taking about 10 years off and coming back, it was still there, but not quite at the same level. I feel like Texas and the West Coast and some other areas, maybe they've progressed a little faster and further than the Midwest has. And it might be weather dependent and, team dependent, but it just playing locally, there's plenty of talent, there's plenty of teams, there's plenty of reason to have it. And it needed it. And by my opinion, kind of still does. It needs the local fields and the kind of the bigger players of the teams to be present, because that attracts. Like growing up, we'd play Aftershock every weekend when they were winning every event for years. It was them and Ironman for years, and we'd play them every weekend. It's how I got to know Nucci and Bruno and those guys, because I'd just get overshot, and then we'd like literally get in fist fights, and then go do it again next week. But that was what like propelled you and drove you, because I want to be them. I can compete with them on the off weekends. We're not winning every time, but we're holding our own. You can feel it. And then like buddies are getting pulled up, and people are getting pulled up, and that kind of like it propelled all of the fields and all of paintball, because now guys are playing more, the lower divisionals are playing more, because it trickles down, right? Like, Mike and the other guys, they're coaching these divisional teams at the Max and other series. They're doing drill nights with them and training them and stuff. And you need that kind of, the top level guys that are going to kind of trickle down. That's what really, in my opinion, helps grow tournament paintball. All the fields benefit from it. Everything benefits from it. It's, a rising tide rises all the ships in the harbor, right? So if we can get more of those top level teams, it kind of helps foster those new up and coming teams.
Yeah. And like you said, you guys had Aftershock back in the day. You had Farside. What was it? Detroit was made by a bunch of Midwest guys. The original NXL Detroit. I can't remember the name right now. Thunder or something, right?
Detroit Thunder back in the day, but there's been a bunch of teams. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. Like having that top end organization in the local community raises the bar for the whole community, like regardless of what division they're playing in, it does filter down.
And I think we've seen that. I mean, I just noticed in owning I owned a field in Chicago for quite a few years. We closed it in 22 when I moved, but just noticed there's quite a bit more D4, D5 level teams kind of coming out of the woodworks that never used to be around. And they're, you see Max is sold out. The Edges tournament series is doing well. Other one-up standalones are doing great. And I think that that's a direct representation of, Blast Camp being a powerhouse team for years, and being around. A bunch of infamous players are local. There's a bunch of other pro teams, like Mikowski, Lowiak, all those guys. Like they've all done really good jobs locally of fostering young talent. And that's, including guys that are on our roster, quite a bit of them. So, you see that the proof's in the pudding, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And, what Jonah Jamros kind of is from the area, right? And came up through.
Yeah.
The
Caleb
infamous
Abdul.
Camp. Yep. Of any others.
I mean, Jason Dennis, who used to play, was really good.
Yeah.
You get a bunch. I mean, Ronnie Dizon, right? Born and raised local. I played against him 15 years ago, like played against Slowiak 15 years ago, stuff like that. Like a lot of those guys, they've been around for a long time. They're household names in the industry now, but they started at a low level looking up for stuff and working their way up. And I guarantee there's people right now that are D5 that are playing that we don't know who they are and we don't know their names, but in 5 years, they'll be on the pro field.
Yeah. Yeah. The kids are coming for you one way or the other, right?
Absolutely.
That's kind of the fun thing about the sport. Someone can just pop up out of nowhere and hit it. So what does a typical distortion practice, non-layout practice look like?
Nate wouldn't know because he's never there.
Yep.
I don't think you've made a single non-layout practice all season, but hashtag wet socks. So, I mean, we get there, depending on if everyone's there or not, we either, like if I'm early, I normally grab paint, start potting. I try to be early, and then we'll run and stretch. And then lately, we've been starting with the box drill or ending with the box drill. It's 2 cans about 10 feet apart with a cone in the middle. one ball snap shooting. You can either shoot each other, shoot the other person, or you can get to the cone and with your gun up and tie goes to the runner. So it, like, teaches you gunfighting, and also when you have half a second to make a move, and it gets rid of the hesitation. And I think it makes people stop being worried so much about getting shot close and whatnot. Kind of toughens you up a little bit because you do come out with bloody knuckles almost every time. And then we do a lot of island drills. Who's that? And so we do island drills a lot. Like if it's a Saturday at Wyldside, we'll do them all day. And then we'll do one-on-ones and more drills. We don't play a lot of 5-on-5s unless it's like a scheduled scrimmage. Like last weekend, we went and played Infamous and Heat Saturday and Sunday at Blast Camp. We played points then, but if it's just us, like we drill. We haven't played points really that often unless it's layout weekend. It gets boring.
And all the guys are pretty local.
Yeah, we're all pretty local. I think Brett might be the farthest one in Ohio, and then Kevin in Green Bay. But it's about 5 hours max for people. It's about 3.5 for me to go to Blast Camp, 2.5 for Wyldside, which isn't awful. I've been driving my whole life to play paintball, so I've been playing for like 23 years.
And you put in the miles. Were you on Aftermath when it was still a West Coast team, or did you join when it?
I joined after when it was here.
Okay.
When it was here, that was the other.
Yeah,
Unger.
when
the other Unger, okay.
Before me.
Yeah, when did John take that over? Was that 18, I think, or 19?
19, maybe. COVID year. Well, it was a year before COVID, or maybe 2 years. I went COVID year because I played the first event in D3 with you, and then he picked me up after a D3 event for Aftermath. So thanks to you, Nate. Nate let me go to his field whenever I wanted. I could go there at 3 o'clock in the morning, air up bunkers, and shoot, and he wouldn't care. So I was going like 5 times a week when I got back into it. Shout out to Nate. I miss Breakout.
All good things come to an end, right?
Yeah.
So Nate, how long did you own a field?
16 is when we opened, and then we closed it in. I moved. So I was in the Chicago area, northwest suburbs. I'm born and raised, and then in 22 I moved northwest Montana. So when Unger mentioned I don't make the non-mandatory practices, it's largely because I live 1,500 miles away.
That's a good excuse.
Drives a little well.
Adequate.
We have John Iannucci coaching full time, and he's local, so he makes a lot of those and helps the guys out for events and layout practices. I'm normally around when we do like that. If if the timing was right, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but it's always got to be if it makes sense,
Yeah. That's a hell of a drive. How did you guys find John to be your coach?
So in the early 2000s, John and I were fist fighting each other probably quite often on weekends because he played with the Aftershock camp and I played with the Farside camp, and we'd get into it at Badlands. And then we ended up playing together in mid 2000s, and he's a couple years older than me, and he was like, I'm a young broke paintball kid, doesn't know how to book flights or how to afford anything, and John and his wife Karen had helped me out with that, and we've kind of stayed in touch and been friends ever since. And then when he took over Aftermath, I was helping him. We could call it coaching. It was more like scouting and doing some other stuff like that, organizational admin stuff. And that was really just kind of a natural fit for that. Unger's got a way better story about John, like how him and John came to be and stuff. And that's probably a lot more heartfelt. So you should tell.
I think CJ Canner reached out to me to play a D3 event with him or something. It was D3 Ohio, John. That was my first event with him. We got in a fist fight at a handshaking. No joke. Somebody shoulder checked his kid, Johnny, and there was a brawl. So that was my first event. And then I just stuck around ever since. He's helped me out a lot. So I used to be an addict. I used to be I was homeless before. I've been in jail. John's kind of never given up on me. He's always helped me play paintball. Helps any way he can. When I got back into it and started playing at Nate's field, he hooked me up with Nate, and I've been with Nate pretty much ever since until the Blast Camp thing. And then John came back to Blast Camp, so it was like, oh shit, my dad's back.
Okay.
So I was the reason he came and coached Blast Camp. Is we were looking for a coach. You know, everybody's asking Virgil $30,000-$50,000 a year to coach. Well, John just wanted his flights covered. You know what I mean? He didn't ask for any money. Like right now, he helps out when he can with money, and he pays for his own flights, rental cars, and everything. Like he does not. He's just doing this because he loves the sport. You know, and it's
Nice.
always been my favorite thing about John. You know, most people wouldn't do that. Same with Nate. You know, Nate puts up a lot of money and just, you know, lets us pay him back. Without him, you know, the houses wouldn't get booked. And so these two have, you know, kind of helped me get back on my feet and be a successful person I am today. Both of them.
Yeah, I think Unger's downplaying how big of a role paintball was in changing his life. And I'm going to speak on his behalf a little bit, but I didn't know him back in the day when he was homeless and living under a bridge and stuff. But I've heard the stories of knowing him. You know, we've been pretty good friends for the better part of a decade, and heard a lot of these stories. And I think John was a pretty instrumental part of that, just as giving him an outlet to be able to play and making sure that he actually showed up and played and kept himself clean throughout that process.
Yeah.
To be honest, there's a bond between all three of us. I've known John 20 something years. You know, Unger's known him forever too. And we've been through some shit together, right? You know, we've all screamed at each other. We've all shoved each other. We've all probably said and done things we shouldn't have done. That's the beauty of a tight knit relationship over a few years. But you know, the quality of the character of the people involved is pretty high level. And I know every once in a while John gets a bad rap, but there's nobody I would rather go to war with than John. And he'll give you the shirt off his back and just be there for his boys left and right. If you cross him or you cross one of the guys, like, I mean, he's not gonna let that go. And that says something to the loyalty he has and the loyalty that, you know, he instills around all those around him.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Paintball saved
awesome.
my life.
Well, look, man, you know, I know it's an ongoing battle with addiction and stuff, but like, I'm glad you're on the other side of it. That's a big deal, and
Thanks.
you know, deserves to be celebrated. Like,
Yeah.
I know
I got,
some people
I think it's been,
are shy about it, but
yeah, no, I think I got about 8 to 10 years clean, somewhere around there. And then, you know, I'm a homeowner now. I'm a landlord. I'm a father. I'm a husband. You know, I made pro paintball, you know. So it's been a journey, but it's been awesome. I wouldn't be who I am today without it all.
Mike's a role model, and whether or not he wants to claim that, if we're being real, I mean, everything you just said, there's a lot of people in life that aren't addicts that don't get those opportunities and can't do those things. And in the last 5 to 7 years, like I've seen, you know, multiple home ownerships now where he's a landlord, he's owning his own house, growing his family out of, you know, some basically, you know, there was no family 5, 6 years ago. I remember him telling me like, this is my goal. And fast forward a few years, and those goals are not only just hit, they're crushed. So, like, I'm proud of Mike. You know, whether or not he's proud of himself, I don't know.
Thanks, brother.
Love you, dude.
Love you too, Nate.
you should be proud of yourself. What drives you, man? Like in all aspects of life, not just paintball.
Is to be better than I was the day before. As dumb as that sounds.
Nah, it doesn't
I just
sound
want to
dumb.
be, yeah, as long as I can be a little bit better the next day, then everything's gonna be okay.
And that's what it's all about, right? Incremental improvement. So just one little baby step at a time. And then next thing you know,
Absolutely.
you've climbed a huge ass ladder.
Yeah, it's crazy. It feels like 2 days ago I was playing at Breakout. You know, here we are.
Well, tell me a little bit about the team's personality, I guess. You know, every team has a different personality. Nate, you know, Aftershock had a big personality. Farside had a different personality. What's Distortion's personality?
Pokemon.
You gotta catch them all, bro. You know, I think to be honest with you, Hunter, I think that's something we're still figuring out a little bit and we're growing into.
Okay.
You know, I just like matching as a team and growing, like the camaraderie and the friendship is real. Like, you know, a lot of us, you know, Kevin has been on this team in one way, shape, or form since Aftermath, and even when he wasn't, like, was it, you know, went to a couple other places. We were close friends. Same with Mike, like, you know, playing for Aftermath, which I helped with, and then, you know, TMG and a couple other spots, like close friends, talk multiple times a week, if not daily. And you bring in some of our other players that were on Blast Camp previously, like Kyle, Zach, Boss, those guys. Like they're best friends. They everything they do together. And very quickly, the whole team's being like that. So when we get together, I mean, we joke a lot. Layout weekends are a lot of fun. There's a lot of things that probably can't record and shouldn't say later, but we're having a great time in doing it all. And we're still kind of developing what that culture and what that looks like for what the team's identity really is. But I think currently where we land is we're pretty loyal to one another. We're these are our boys, and it's not just a paintball team that you go hang out with. I mean, it's a nightly thing, whether it's video games or hanging out or the chats or whatever. And we're here to work and work hard. And I think that's something that we've changed the second half of the year, like kind of Mike mentioned earlier. And we're kind of still developing exactly what that looks like. But Mike, you got a different opinion, or what do you think? You're got a little different point of view.
I mean, not really. Beginning of the year, everyone was hiding in their cliquey rooms and not hanging out together. Now everyone's going and getting ice cream together, fucking off. It's more like a
But
family
together.
than it was. Yeah. Yeah, it's more like a family than like, oh, fuck, I gotta go spend the weekend with these assholes again, And I felt like that's kind of how it was in the beginning of the year. Everyone was like not sold on each other, but now we've changed that. Personality, though,
Yeah.
we joke around constantly. I don't know if there's any seriousness left anymore.
That's hard.
I mean, we drill and we play hard, but everything else it's a joke.
In the best possible way.
Yeah.
No, I get what you're saying. Are you guys pranking each other and stuff, or are you just joking around?
Oh, that happens.
Yeah, it's been it's pranking each other, opening Pokemon packs together,
Yeah,
pulling cards together.
climbing out of
We got
car
some
windows,
Pokemon
stealing
collectors.
cars, kidnapping kids. What we've
Just it's the normal stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, text from the wife.
You're good.
So take us through the squad a little bit. Like, who's making it to World Cup, and just tell us a little bit about them.
Mike, is that you or me?
It can be. I can try to remember everybody.
You go for it. I'll pick up the slack. So we got a deep roster, and we're so tight of friends that if you're not looking at me, sometimes it's hard. You don't remember, but
Yeah, fair enough.
So we got Voss, Zach, Kyle, Alex, and Kevin, who are, I'd say, our front guys. Kevin's a little older, so he's a little wiser and slower, but that's my boy. Voss and Zach are super athletic. Same with Kyle and Alex, but Alex is still in the learning stages. My God, has that kid gotten better this year?
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't watch this.
No, we don't.
I didn't say that, Alex. You still smell funky sometimes, but it's cool. And then the back line, we got me, Drew, Geartree from Blast Camp, Fred Berkeley, who played pro forever with TMG. I don't know if you know him or not. Brett Erlinger.
I've seen him around. I don't know if I've ever met him.
Brett's he's a newer ad. He's come a long way. He used to play back in the day, like Chicago Warped or something against me all the time. I can't remember. And then he got back into it, and he was thinking about quitting. And we were looking for a guy or two because we had thought we lost some. Well, we lost some players, but we gained some back, and whatever. We found Brett, and he's a great add to the team. He's hilarious. He looks like John's son, just a big goofball. Loves Taco Bell. And then we got Nate Roberts, who is probably one of the nastiest snap shooters I've encountered besides Cody Mikowski, and that's who he drills against 24/7. He came out of that camp. He's at Reball all the time. He's playing with Cody all the time. He's our one-on-one champ. I'll put him up every time in one-on-ones against anyone. No doubt in my mind. He won us. We went to double overtime of Shock last event, and he won the one-on-one, and he hadn't played a single point that day. He went out there and smoked the kid in like 10 seconds.
Yep, he's won multiple one-on-ones for us in the last couple of years, and multiple pull off a couple low body situations. So is Unger, but like real crucial points.
I think
timings.
In Ohio, me and him won a 2-on-5.
Yeah, I believe so.
Damn.
So. And that was that crazy layout where they can just crawl through the middle of the field and they're on your side of the field. I don't know if you remember or not. It was like that slant snake through the whole thing.
Yeah.
205 on that was insane to me. And we almost had two of them, but I shot him. I shot Nate in the face. It was a 2-on-5. It was kill 2, and I came out and shot him in the face. Oh, oops. But yeah, I love being on the field with Nate Roberts. But that's the boys. I'd say Fred's the most experienced. He's the oldest and playing the longest. Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. You didn't miss anybody, so good job, Unger.
I tried really hard.
Yeah, I pulled the roster up to make sure we didn't forget. Yeah, that's we look at the roster, we got a bunch of people. We got kind of a good mix of people that have played pro or played at a high level for a long period of time, and then a couple up and comers like Alex, and even Brett's a little bit newer. And it's a really good mix. And there's not a selfish person on the roster. Okay, everyone is selfless and team focused, and that's what I think is really starting to shine as we're seeing that. It's what's best for the team, not what's best for the individual. No one's complaining about playing time or this or that, and it sucks, man. Because like I said, you got 10 absolute rock stars here. Like a bunch of these guys, probably 6 or 7 of these guys have started on pro teams for multiple seasons, and they might be riding a bench now because it's just like you said, the layout or whatever it is. And we're not hearing any complaints. It's the first time, in 3 to 4 years of coaching this and a bunch of years of coaching lower divisions before that, it's the first time where I'm not getting bombarded, at night or after the event on about something's not fair or I didn't get enough time or whatever. It's like, guys get it. We're all working together. So it's huge.
Well, and not that I've ever won a pro
big
spot. Yeah. I mean, that's what it's going to take, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
I've never won a pro spot either, but I've been on 3 pro teams that have changed ownership. So if we do win the pro spot, it'll probably get sold.
I think it's required almost.
Yeah. Gonna sell that to make some cash.
You get 2 seasons tops. That's the most. And then just let it go.
What was it? Leverage was rumored to not even take it last year. They were thinking about selling it or something beforehand.
Yeah. It's just the same with Jungle Cats from the couple of guys I've talked to on the team. I don't know if it's changed, if they've changed since they changed sponsorship, but I know at the beginning of the season, they're like, even if we win it, we're probably going to sell it. Seems to be.
Well, I think that mentality has changed. I don't know maybe we might know the same people though.
It might have. They changed sponsorships, so, and they looked really good this year, so I would see why they would. I think they,
Yeah.
There's a couple semi-pro teams that look better in pro teams this year, but neither here nor there.
Absolutely.
I think the pro division's pretty divided right now. The top's the top and the bottom is the bottom for some.
Yeah, there's definitely some teams that I would like to see make room for some of the semi-pro teams to go up. Let's just say that way, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty
They're
typical, right?
just
A lot of
holding on to their
times,
spot.
yeah, a lot of times the top 4, 5, 6 semi-pro teams, they're at least neck and neck with the bottom 6, 8 pro teams. It's not always the case, but it's very often. And we're all practicing each other a lot. Most of us have known each other for a lot of years, and players have known each other on rosters, and the playing styles and tendencies. So when the semi-pro teams come in, they typically have a little bit of an advantage early because they're not, the other teams aren't used to seeing them and how they play. That changes pretty quick.
Yeah. What was it? I think it was Level that like their first event in, they went and took a third, but as soon as like the league adapted to their playing style, kind of changed that.
Yep, I think it was.
And then the Hurricanes had a good, maybe that wasn't their first season, but they had that spark where they got second, right, in Vegas. Vegas seems to be really good for people coming in new to the league for whatever reason.
First event of the year is always it's the easiest one to win on paper. From being from the Midwest, I don't know that it ever feels that way because we're coming out of snow and ice and indoor and not getting the reps. But technically, that's the one because you get the longest practice. Nobody knows you. They don't know your styles. They don't know how you're going to play. The rosters are always shaking up going into that, so it's always there. And then by the end of the year, you kind of see where it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Event 1 and the last event really sucked for Midwest. But there was a year we were using a skid loader to take snow off Nate's field to play.
Yeah, you just shared that picture the other day.
Yeah.
That was the year aftermath. You guys stay at elevation to play us, and in the Midwest, there's literally people on that team had never seen snow before. They were ecstatic, and we had like
Really?
Saturday night into Sunday. I think we had like 4 inches of snow or something. It was like 55 degrees, but overnight we got a bunch of snow, and it was crazy.
One of those warm snow days.
Yeah, but I play outside year round normally. Indoors, Cody's reball thing will be nice, but indoors so loud and dirty and dimly lit.
Yeah.
And we don't
It's
have
hard
a
to
lot of
keep
options for it, right?
indoor field.
No, it's expensive too.
Yeah. Yeah. Expensive to run and expensive to play for sure.
Correct.
Yeah, I think so.
Do a little indoor stint out in Utah for a little bit, and it's different.
Yeah.
It's a good alternative in the winter when there isn't much else, but it's limited. And like in the Midwest, now I think there's only really Siege, and it's not even a full size field. Or we're driving a couple hours to go somewhere else, so it's like multiple
Yeah.
hours. We're limited on options. Pick the best weather days and go play outside is typically a better option, but it's a long break and a long winter.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you guys this. Been requested by all the been requested for me to ask this of all the guests. Is there a marker you wish you could have back that maybe you sold off?
But yeah. I had a Potleaf DM6 I wish I had back.
Okay.
Man,
Nate, you gotta have some good
yeah,
ones.
I just being honest, like nothing but warm, fuzzy feelings for like the Lasoya Intimidator when it came out. Like that was a huge game changer. I know it's old, but I still got a soft spot in my heart for the autococker. It's just so cool the way it sounds. They don't shoot that great, and compared to what they are now, but it's so cool. Like watching all those parts move and they sound cool. So every time I go play mech, like that's still gun of choice if I get an option.
That gun scared me when I was a child. Like, what is
the
this?
And it's
autococker.
speaking French. Like if it breaks, you just be like, I don't know, you do it.
Yeah.
You gotta have Danny or
Because I mean, they didn't have electric guns when I started, really either.
yeah, same.
I mean, I remember when the E-Blade came out and the Angels and Angel Air and all that crap. I was like, what is this?
Well, having a good
And then the
autococker
DM3
is like having a Corvette. Yeah. Those big bricks.
It's like having a Corvette
guys
with
get to
some
play a lot of
super
mech?
fine-tuned motor that you hope you can make work. And every day you
Yeah.
pull it off the trailer and you're like, is it gonna work today?
I don't play any Mac, Woodsball, or anything. I practice Speedball every weekend,
Okay.
whether it's by myself or not. I have a problem.
Nate, you got to do any of the classic stuff yet?
Not in a couple years, but especially when I lived in Chicago, yeah, I jumped in and done some mech. The gameplay is nostalgic and it's fun, right? The part that I don't really personally care for is just it's at the pace at which you're playing. Like you play a match and then you wait an hour and a half and play another one or do something. You're there all day, and there's a camaraderie aspect to it, which is huge. But like just me personally, like I much prefer X-Ball, where the points are a lot more like you're doing more of that, more fast pace. We're gonna play for a couple hours, and then if we're not playing, we're gone. Standing,
Yeah.
being at a field for 12 hours and playing 8 matches or something like that, it's a little not ideal for me, especially like I don't drink or smoke or anything. So, I feel like 10-man is made to drink. And so
there's a lot of
it's just
drinkers
like,
and smokers in 10
yeah, and there's nothing wrong. That's a great time with your boys, but it's just like, it's a little hard for me to do that, especially like where I'm at now, just like flying. But we'll jump in on 1 or 2 events a year or play some stuff here and there. It's always a good time.
Nice. Well, are there any rituals before you step on the field, or like piece of gear you got to have on you? Any superstitions?
Jeez, not anymore. I hung
Got
that
rid of
shirt
all
up.
of them?
I hung it up. It's so holy. I busted out 2 weekends ago. I have one of the first HKA shirts ever made. Like
Oh, nice.
when they first came out, it's like this red, and I used to wear that when I play all the time. I just took it off the hanger and wore it the other day, but I have to like hand wash it, and it's falling apart. The weird sunburn holes all over my back from all the holes in it. That's something I'll never get rid of, is that shirt. Nothing that I wear when playing anymore normally.
Yeah, no superstitions or anything like that. Like for me personally, it's a like I'm driven by the performance and the competitiveness, and there with paintball especially, there's so many variables on and off the field with other players, other teams, the refs, the scoreboards, the weather, everything and anything. You just kind of got to be comfortable being uncomfortable and dealing with because no matter what your ritual or your expectations are, it's going to change throughout the day and the weekend. So for me, like I kind of went away, like same as Mike did. Like I kind of got rid of all those things. I used to have them too. Certain shirts, headbands, whatever. And yeah, you have things you might use consistently, but it's all just tools. Like if today it's a Lux and tomorrow it's an autococker, it's all the same. It's like we'll make it work. There's differences and nuances to it all, but we got to be comfortable and ready to do with whatever comes our way.
So Distortion's picking up that Shock Tech sponsorship next year and shooting autocockers? Is that what I'm hearing?
I mean, well, we're open to options, yeah. We're largely self-funded, right? Like we got a huge sponsor in Wyldside, and Bob's awesome. He's helping us out. And then outside of that, like we're largely self-funded and sponsored. The guys are paying their own ways, and paintball's expensive, and it's not just the cost of the money that you're putting out, it's the time too. You got to have a career and a job that's going to allow you to take a fair amount of time off and travel a bunch, and you have family members that are going to do the same and stuff like that. So we're always open for ideas. So if Shock Tech wants to throw us cockers and we play with them, like we'll definitely talk about it.
Okay, fair enough. Danny, hit your boy up.
Yeah.
We're getting there. Well, why don't we, since we got into sponsors a little bit, shout out the sponsors real quick.
Largely, it's Wyldside Paintball. I mean, that's really our key and core sponsor. John Nucci HVAC is helping us out. He's probably not going to get anything out of us, but a shout out here. We via Wyldside, we were shooting Vulcan, and obviously that's gone away at the moment, and we didn't really have any complaints with them. We're currently shooting some Pro DNA and working some stuff out with ZP and Travis and them. We'll see what next year brings us. We have some discussions in the next upcoming weeks to see what's going to happen with that. But I could not speak, and Mike I think feels the same way. I think the whole team feels the same way. We could not speak more highly for Wyldside, for Bob and the field, all the people there, Bill, the other staff members and stuff. Like they're just open arms. Make yourself at home. Like how Breakout used to be for Mike. Show up 24/7. Like we can do the same there if we wanted to. Just really going above and beyond, showing up in our pits and helping us out. Getting us pod runners or working stuff like that. Like, that's huge. Like it's the pit staff and the stuff behind the scenes. Those are the kind of the unsung heroes. Like you never see Maddie Marshall talking about how great that pod runner did or the guy filling the pods. But the truth is, if those guys weren't there, like the players, we can't make it through a match. We can't get there. And we've had it where we haven't had that help, or we've had the wrong help. It's been chaotic, and it's a huge stress to the guys, and it's a night and day difference when you have good, solid people there that are reliable and stuff. So having that support that is kind of behind the scenes, largely coming from Wyldside this year, and it's been huge. And on and off the field, it's made a huge difference. And they're like, the vibe is great and the support is there. It's like our biggest cheerleaders every weekend. Cannot say enough of great things about that.
Nice. Is there something about the league you guys would want to change? Like a constructive thing, whether it's be like, no split deck or whatever. I'm not trying to get you guys like, shadow banned from the refs or anything, but, something you'd like to see change in the game, whether it's format or something else.
A limited paint.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what would your limit be?
Layouts. I don't know. The 4 pod seems good. I hate blind layouts would be good too. I just don't like how every field you can slow down now. Every single field this year has come down to like we've had a lot of 8-9 minute points, which is like your whole match. Like I don't want to play an 8 to 9 minute point. I want 3-minute points. Like I want to have a match. Like I don't. If I want to play 5-man, I'll play 5-man. But I want to play X-ball. So like they got to figure out a way to either to speed it up, whether it's take out some bunkers or limit paint or I don't know. They gotta do something. I'm not an expert on the game, but I'd limit paint and probably change some of the bunkers, pull out, I don't know, maybe make the beams a little bit taller so no one's shooting over them. So if you do get in a snake, you can just fly down the fucking thing. So it's not this huge, oh, this guy can go to the tower and shoot down and you can't crawl around the S2 and there's no way to put him in. And D side, you got this bunker that can shoot cross and it can shoot every gap and no one can check them off. So yeah, this is fun. So fun. It has just become really stagnant and stale. I have not been a fan of a single layout this year. I don't know what they're going to do or how to change it or how to fix it, but it's just been kind of blah.
Yeah, I
Well, I like
mentioned
both
blind
those
layouts, and
suggestions.
I've mentioned some other stuff to Tom throughout the years. I've mentioned this a couple times. The East Coast sucks. I hate it. I love the East Coast people, but it's expensive and the travel's hard and difficult. I think I've said this to Tom for multiple years. I think if you want to see paintball grow, it's going to suck in the short term, but you got to build some permanent facilities where we're going. There's not another high level professional sport, with exception of maybe like motocross and some rally racing, where you don't have a home field. Where there's not, and I think we really should be modeling after maybe like minor league sports or college sports, even. Like I got a minor league baseball team here. It's like AAA ball, something like that, in my hometown, and it seats about 6,000 people. And they got games every night. On average, there's 1,500 people there, and they got a multi-million-dollar stadium that they're readily paying for at a $10 entry fee. Like I don't think that's out of the realms of possibilities for us to do. And I think in the long term, it'd be great whether the NXL buys that or you start to push towards some other places, but the amount of travel costs and cost they have to tear down and set up, like if we only went to Florida for all 5 events for a couple seasons and we built a nice home there, and then a few years later they built one in Texas, and a few years later, Vegas or something, and you're slowly growing that over the course of a few years, I think that would yield a lot better results. You get actual beer gardens, you get places where like mom can come drop the kids off and watch sports, or dad can watch football on Sundays while the kids are playing, because that stuff could get used year round. And they've tried with some local fields, but they've also gotten burned by a few local fields they've invested money into. And then they've gone and tried to start competitive leagues or other things. So I get why the NXL is a little hesitant for some of that. But, and I know there's some stuff in the works that Tom's working on and they're trying to make happen. But I think we're going to have to see that. And it's a little more attractive to your outside sponsors, too, to be able to have, Chick-fil-A have a permanent facility, or Coca-Cola or something that's willing to put a little bit of branding in. We're chasing the ESPN thing, which is great to get some like worldwide exposure, but I think you still got to grow the local stuff. And I think you could do that in multiple ways. If you had like, Dynasty had a home field with actual grandstands and like real bathrooms and stuff. And then we had a couple of tournaments there a year. WC was using it, or others were using it in turf. I think that's really where you're going to start to see some differences. And some of the stuff recently we've seen with like the 3-mans on ESPN, I think we're starting, you can see where that would yield that to be a little bit better opportunity for them. So we'll see.
Yeah. I like all those suggestions. I'm a big fan of line layouts. I feel like, it makes the game faster because people are willing to take a risk, right? And just figuring it out. And I think for the local leagues, it makes more teams. I know people the teams that are going to practice, period. But if you got 5 guys who just randomly want to show up, they're more likely to randomly show up on a blind layout, right?
I grew up on blind layouts, with the NPPL days and stuff. And it was, you had some Woodsball fields that were fairly predictable, but then they move start boxes or move tape lines or something, change it a little bit. But it was, I think we played more, I know from a field, like a former field owner's perspective, for me, blind layouts just seem to be I know the argument is, well, teams will play less because there's, they're only going to play, they're going to play these layout weekends for sure. The reality is they play more because they need reps as a team, not on a specific layout. And then especially as we get like some of these regional events and stuff, like, you got like Jackson at Blast Camp flipping a layout every weekend. It's Max, it's Europe, it's this. And it's cool to have that variety, but at the same time, that's a toll on the staff and the workers. And if it's, if you don't have a field with multiple layout opportunities, like we've been to places before where it's NXL's on this field and you got EXL on another, MSXL on another, or something like that. It's a lot of stress and toll on the field to be able to flip that and do that. And I think you could take that, off of it a little bit. And also, you kind of give some flexibility to the teams because uh, it's a little less so at a higher level, but we've all had players like skip layout weekends or events due to weddings or birthday
Yeah.
parties or things that are more important. And when you go to blind layouts, I mean, you can have that and it not be so detrimental. If Unger doesn't make a layout weekend and we only get one layout weekend, and if Unger doesn't make it, it's really hard to justify putting him on the field the next weekend because he just doesn't learn and know. But if it's blind and Unger can't make layout weekend because it's just, he's having a kid or whatever else, but he can still play and we're used to playing with him, it opens up some doors a little bit for there. And from a team owner standpoint, like the cost is huge at a high level. Like we're flying 10, 11, 12 guys for Airbnbs, rental cars, all that stuff. And that gets expensive. And when you go to blind layouts, okay, we can play locally. We don't have to go do those things. And you don't necessarily have to play the damages or the dynasties or hurricanes or something on that layout at that time. We can play them at a more cost effective time frame or something that's a little more conducive for everyone.
Yeah.
I like it better, but
Well, and I think the teams that are going to be out there anyways, they're still going to be out there. It might be instead of taking a weekend off, they're not taking a weekend off. They're just having a shorter day, right? Like, yeah, you might not see the 2K per player D4 turnout anymore, but I guarantee you those players are going to be out there more.
yeah, yep.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be two layout weekends. Now it's one. We played last weekend against Heat and Infamous. We're playing this weekend, and we're playing layout weekend. It hasn't changed. We still play paintball if you want to win. If you don't care about winning, you just want to have fun, then blind layouts help even more because you can just go have fun, and you're not going to get beat up by somebody that shot 120 cases on this layout as a team.
Yeah, a whole skid.
Yep. I think at the end of the tournament, you still have the same teams rise to the top. I don't think it changes the outcome.
But yeah,
It makes Friday more exciting, and even some of Saturday, especially at the divisional level. But the cream's still going to rise to the top, especially with the top talent, like, the dynasty style players who are used to figuring out a field and damage and stuff, like Joey, whoever, putting a field together quickly, like they're going to do well, but they're going to do well no matter what. So it's not a whole lot different. But like Mike said, it's not like there's teams out there shooting a skid of paint or bounce shots every weekend. And, that's a cost. It's costly. So you
yeah,
kind of start to level that playing field just a little bit.
definitely agree with that. I had something and then I lost it. Oh, damn. Well, it's been an hour, so I'll let you guys go. I really appreciate your time. We already did the shout outs, but if you're local to Wyldside, go out to Wyldside, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you'll find us at Wyldside most weekends. So, like, for sure, step out.
I drill a lot by myself on Saturdays. It's great. So if you're upcoming player and you just want to, work on skills and come on out, I'll work with you all day. It doesn't matter. Saturdays mostly for that though.
Yeah.
Hey,
And like
that
on
is
that
a
note, right? Like,
awesome opportunity.
yeah, Unger mentioned this earlier about Nate Roberts. Like Nate Roberts, I mean, so is Alex and a couple others too, but like Nate's a product of Cody Mikowski's camp, of the Infamous camp when he had the divisional team and coming up when he was on Infamous, and then just doing it. And a lot of that, like Nate's talent level, it really hasn't come from being on a bunch of teams that are at the top level. It's come from doing all the work behind the scenes on Saturdays and a couple of nights during the week at Siege or wherever, doing reball and working with, and this, like someone like Mike, working with Cody and having him teach him one-on-ones and drills when you get some time, when it's not, it's hard when you're running layouts or running as a team to get someone to kind of teach you and foster you. But when you can go on a Saturday, run drills with Mike all day for 4 or 6 hours, like you're going to get some real quick feedback. It's like having a private clinic. When I had my field, Ronnie used to come out quite often to do that at my field. And it was like 6 a.m. on a Tuesday. We're running, we're doing snap shooting drills and I'm throwing gear on and we're playing for 2 hours. Then he's going to work or I'm going to work or do whatever. That stuff was like supercharging the skill set and the field awareness and things. So, if you get the opportunity, whether it's at Wyldside with Mike and some other guys, or even at any other local field, you get the opportunity to go jump in with some top level guys and just run drills with them. Like that's really where you're going to see huge progression, way more so than you're going to see on a Sunday morning for a couple hours waiting half an hour to get a point. You're gonna really get those in.
Well, and that gun time during the week, right? Like that adds up quick, and I don't think enough people utilize their local field for that.
I get divisional players ask me all the time how to get better, and I tell them to drill, and then every Sunday to just go and play points. And they're like, "What can I do better?" And I'm like, "You can drill. Playing points isn't what you need. Anybody can go out there and play a point, but you gotta really get your shit down before you go play points.
Yeah.
From a
That's when you can make all those.
Yeah. From a coaching standpoint, I've seen it for years. What happens at an event or in the points in the nets is almost always an indicator of what's happening off the field or on other guys doing their own time. So it's them being in the gym and working on athleticism. It's them putting, managing their time correctly so they can afford it and they can manage their time with their spouses or their family or other responsibilities. And then how much time did you put in, your snap shooting drills, your laning drills, your running and gunning, all that other stuff. Like you see that on the field, going on there and playing points, you're not going to refine that as fast as you're going to refine the other stuff. What happens when you put 5 guys on the net on a Friday at an event or on a Sunday at a field, that's almost like the test. What did you study or not? It's not really where it is. When it comes to a layout, that's a little bit different because we're trying to learn the bunker configuration. But the individual skill set and the skill set as a team, a lot of that's made like, what are you guys doing outside of the field? Are you clicking together? Are you going to ice cream every night? You're eating dinner together, or you're all going your separate ways and sitting on your phones and nobody's talking to one another. Like you start to see that, come into play in the net.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Couldn't said it better myself. So those little things, and it's the drills, which is an easy thing to say, hard thing to do, right? Getting out there and doing your drills beforehand. It doesn't take a lot of paint to get a lot of progress either. You can do a lot with a bag.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Well, on that note, I'll take us out real quick. I need you guys to hang out for a little bit, but everyone else, we will see you next time on the Planet Paintball Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to the Planet Paintball Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Whether you're out there grinding in the divisional pits or chasing dreams on the pro stage, remember, it's all about the passion, the hustle, and the love for the sport. Shout out to 1023 Sportswear for sponsoring the show. Don't forget to use code PlanetPaintball at checkout for 20% off your order. Gear up, save big. Until next time, keep grinding, keep growing, and we'll see you back here on the Planet Paintball Podcast